Just something that Paul Palnick in Columbus, Ohio, I love his stuff. He posted on Facebook, not to me in particular, not a message to me, as some of these are, but I like it. And it's a very general point. Paul Palnick writes, "How odd that those liberals who claim to be oh so very tolerant of everyone are the ones who beat up conservatives, deny others free speech, desecrate graves." The anti-Semitic grave desecrator in St. Louis was a black Muslim Democrat. Block highways, and never tire of calling others racist. There must be a racist detector degree that so many of them have on their resumes because they all imagine they are qualified to label others as racist. By the way, it was warmer. It must be only 20 right now. But it was like 45 the other day. Not too bad. It was perfect. I did some cross-country skiing. Okay, but the comment about racism and liberals is perfect as a segue into what I'm going to suggest you all read now, which is an article that was in the Wall Street Journal by Shelby Steele yesterday, called "The Exhaustion of American Liberalism," and it has the subheading, "White Guilt Gave Us a Mock Politics Based on the Pretense of Moral Authority." Keith Levenberg, by the way, thank you for making me aware of that. This is a must-read. Shelby Steele is at the Hoover Institution in Stanford, California, a black conservative. He's been writing for a long time. He's written a lot of good stuff through the years. And one thing that will grab your attention is you really have to see the image they use of the white protester in Portland, Oregon, with a so concerned expression on his face. This is while he's holding a pre-printed placard that says, "Racism is real, white privilege is real, oppression is real, fear is real, resistance is real." Let me just read you the first paragraph or so of it, because I'm getting cold. It's certainly enough to get many of you hooked on reading it. He writes, "The recent flurry of marches," hold on, I gotta re-grip this. "The recent flurry of marches, demonstrations, and even riots, along with the Democratic Party's spiteful reaction to the Trump presidency, exposes what modern liberalism has become, a politics shrouded in pathos. Unlike the civil rights movement of the 1950s and 1960s, when protesters wore their Sunday best and carried themselves with heroic dignity, today's liberal marches are marked by incoherence and downright lunacy, hats designed to evoke sexual organs, poems that scream in anger yet have no point to make, and an hysterical anti-Americanism. Now, all this suggests lostness, the end of something rather than the beginning. What is ending? America, since the 60s, has lived through what might be called an age of white guilt. We may still be in the age, but the Trump election suggests an exhaustion with the idea of white guilt and with the drama of culpability, innocence, and correctness in which it mires us. White guilt is not actual guilt. Surely most whites are not assailed in the night by feelings of responsibility for America's historical mistreatment of minorities. Moreover, all the actual guilt in the world would never be enough to support the hegemonic power that the mere pretense of guilt has exercised in American life for the last half century." And it goes on. You should read that. Shelby Steele in the Wall Street Journal yesterday. And I know a lot of Wall Street Journal articles are not accessible unless you subscribe. This one seems to be. Hold on a second. Give you another view of Helena. Mount Helena I'm too close to now that you can't really see it. Let me just, and the comment section is great. Let me just read you something, just one of the comments. There's so many of them that are good here. But this is funny about the guy in the picture. Hilarious. Shelley Mitchell writes, "I've been looking at this pitiful caricature of an Oregonian with his stupid sign and sad but wonderfully barbered face for 3 days now. I think these things about this picture. One, he's about 6 generations removed from the people that set out on the 6-month journey from St. Louis to Oregon. Those people had no iPads or iPhones, so no clue what lay ahead of them. They only had a dream and they were willing to risk all for that dream. They were Americans. 2, the critter in this picture has had almost all of that American bred out of him. He wouldn't last a week on that trip under the same conditions as his predecessors. You can see on his face he has no dream that he would risk all for." To which, this is a great comment, that John Trotman replied to that previous one. He writes, "I am befuddled looking at him. I was hoping that he just needed a few bucks, so someone gave him this sign to stand there like a tool, but I am afraid that your analogy is the correct one." And yes, his beard is perfectly groomed.